and welcome back to Read Aloud. We are reading The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane by Kate DiCamillo, and we are at chapter 22. Now look here at this picture. What does that picture remind you of? It's just like the cover. There's Edward. What is he doing? He looks like he's walking, and where is he going? Let's find out. Now, as we remember last time, he was swung around and everything went black. Chapter 22. It was dusk, and Edward was walking down a sidewalk. He was walking on his own, putting one foot in front of the other without any assistance from anybody. He was wearing a fine suit made of red silk. He walked down the walkway, and then he turned onto a path that led up to a house with lighted windows. "I know this house," thought Edward. "This is Abeline's house. I am on Egypt Street." Lucy came running out of the front door of the house, barking and jumping and wagging her tail. "Down, girl," said a deep, gruff voice. Edward looked up, and there was Bull standing at the door. "Hello, Malone," said Bull. "Hello, good old rabbit pie. We've been waiting for you." Bull swung the door wide, and Edward walked inside. Abeline was there, and Nellie, and Lawrence, and Bryce. "Susanna," called Nellie. "Jangles," said Bryce. "Edward," said Abeline. She held out her arms to him. But Edward stood still. He looked around the room. "You searching for Sarah Ruth?" Bryce asked. Edward nodded. "You gotta go outside if you want to see Sarah Ruth," said Bryce. So they all went outside. Lucy and Bull and Nellie and Lawrence and Bryce and Abeline and Edward. "Right there," said Bryce. He pointed up at the stars. "Yep," said Lawrence. "That is the Sarah Ruth constellation." He picked Edward up and put him on his shoulder. "You can see it right there." Edward felt a pang of sorrow, deep and sweet and familiar. Why did she have to be so far away? "If only I had wings," he thought. "I could fly to her." Out of the corner of his eye, the rabbit saw something flutter. Edward looked over his shoulder, and there they were, the most magnificent wings he had ever seen, orange and red and blue and yellow. And they were on his back. They belonged to him. They were his wings. What a wonderful night this was! He was walking on his own. He had an elegant new suit, and now he had wings. He could fly anywhere, do anything. Why had he never realized it before? His heart soared inside him. He spread his wings and flew off Lawrence's shoulders, out of his hands, and up into the nighttime sky, towards the stars, towards Sarah Ruth. "No!" shouted Abeline. "Catch him!" said Bryce. Edward flew higher. Lucy barked. "Woo! Malone!" shouted Bull. And with a terrific lunge, he grabbed hold of Edward's feet and pulled him out of the sky and wrestled him to the earth. "You can't go yet," said Bull. "Stay with us," said Abeline. Edward beat his wings, but it was no use. Bull held him firmly to the ground. Stay with us, repeated Abilene. Edward started to cry. I couldn't stand to lose you again, said Nellie. Neither could I, said Abilene. It would break my heart. Lucy bent her face to Edward's. She licked his tears away. So I wonder what was going on with Edward. Where was he really? All these people together, would that happen in his real world? Chapter 23. Now look at that. There's Edward on a table. Who is this? What is he doing? Let's see. Exceedingly well made, said the man who was running a warm cloth over Edward's face. A work of art, I would say. A surpassingly, unbelievably dirty work of art, but art nonetheless. And dirt can be dealt with, just as your broken head has been dealt with. Edward looked into the eyes of the man. Ah, there you are, the man said. I can see that you are listening now. Your head was broken. I fixed it. I brought you back from the world of the dead. My heart, thought Edward, my heart is broken. No need to thank me, the man said. It's my job, quite literally. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Lucius Clark, doll mender. Your head, may I tell you, will it upset you? Well, I always say the truth must be met head on. No pun intended. Your head, young sir, was in 21 pieces. 21 pieces, Edward repeated, mindlessly. Lucius Clark nodded. 21, he said. All modesty aside, I must admit that a lesser doll-mender, a doll-mender without my skills, might not have been able to rescue you. But let's not speak of what might have been. Let us speak instead of what is. You are whole. You have been pulled back from the brink of oblivion by your humble servant, Lucius Clark. And here Lucius Clark put his hand on his chest and bowed deeply over Edward. This was quite a speech to wake up to, and Edward lay on his back, trying to absorb it. He was on a wooden table. He was in a room with sunshine pouring in from high windows. His head, apparently, had been in 21 pieces and was now put back together into one. He was not wearing a red suit. In fact, he had no clothes on at all. He was naked again, and he did not have wings. And then he remembered. Bryce, the diner, Neil swinging him through the air. Bryce! You are wondering, perhaps, about your young friend, said Lucius. The one with the continually runny nose. Yes, he brought you here. Weeping, begging for my assistance. Put them together again, he said. Put them back together. I told him, I said, young sir, I'm a businessman. I can put your rabbit back together again for a price. The question is, can you pay this price? He could not. Of course he could not. He said that he could not. I told him then that he had 2 options, only 2. The first option being that he seek assistance elsewhere. Option 2 was that I would fix you to the very best of my considerable abilities, and then you would become mine. His, no longer, but mine. Here Lucius fell silent. He nodded, agreeing with himself. 2 options only, he said. And your friend chose option 2. He gave you up so that you could be healed. Extraordinary, really. Bryce, thought Edward. Lucius clapped his hands together. What? No worries, friend. I fully intend to keep up my end of the bargain. I will restore you to what I perceive to be your former glory. You shall have rabbit fur ears and a rabbit fur tail. Your whiskers will be repaired and replaced. Your eyes repainted to a bright and stunning blue. You'll be clothed in the finest of suits. And then, someday, I will reap the return on my investment in you. All in good time, all in good time. In the doll business, we have a saying. There is real time, and then there is doll time. You, my fine friend, have entered doll time. Doll time. Do you think Edward minds being in doll time? So, Bryce gave him up so that he could be fixed. What do you think about that? Do you think he made the right decision? What decision would you have made? I mean, Edward was his only possession, the only thing he had. And there he was in 21 pieces. We don't even know what happened to the rest of him, just his head. So, as I said, what decision would you make? We'll see what happens to Edward after doll time. See you next time.